Hello everyone, welcome to Vegas Showbiz. We are Jessica and Michael Pellegrini. For today's video, we're excited to be bringing back a Vegas restaurant review. It's been a while since we've done one of these videos, but I promise this one is well worth the wait. We recently had a fantastic seafood meal at Lakeside, which is at the Wynn on the Strip. It's located right next to the Lake of Dreams. We had seen the Lake of Dreams before, but didn't really know what it was all about, so I got some cool video clips of that to share with you. I also took photos of every course we had that night, so we're gonna be reading menu descriptions, talking about experiences, and you'll be able to see those dishes as well. A lot of good stuff to get into. I hope you brought your appetite. Before we get started, just one small favor to ask of you. If you could please help us out by subscribing to the Vegas Showbiz YouTube channel, we would really appreciate that. We're trying to grow the channel, and your support via subscription really does go a long way. So with that said, before we get into the actual courses, we're just gonna talk about general experiences. There was like one negative aspect to our night. It wasn't even the restaurant's fault, but we do wanna mention that because I've got a pro tip to help you get around it for next time. So for that, I'll give you Jessica, and we'll start with our general thoughts.
Okay, so we were fortunate enough to sit right on the lake.
Yes.
There is outdoor seating, which is by the lake, and indoor seating. They do also have a private room should you be interested in an event there. It was nice to sit out on the patio. Even on a really warm night, I didn't feel uncomfortable. They do keep it reasonable temperature out there, and being front row to the show, you know, the Lake of Dreams show, was fun.
Awesome. Yeah, it was beautiful.
In fact, we did see a lot of people from inside the restaurant come outside when the Lake of Dreams sort of lit up. So
right, it's a crowd favorite.
They wanted to be front row like we were.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine dining, primarily seafood restaurant. They say casual, excuse me.
They say upscale casual, okay. But to me it's pretty fine dining.
Right. We certainly felt like it was fine dining. Very delicate food.
Yeah.
Just really impressive all the way around.
Yeah, beautiful presentation. The service was spot on, not only from our server, but from his support staff, the bussers, the food expediters. We have a background in restaurants, so we know this stuff. We're somewhat critical, and it was on point.
They really were. It was a great team. And our server was great in the fact that he was there anytime we needed him, but he wasn't there sort of to be a part of our evening.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to entertain us, and that's a pet peeve of ours. We're not looking for that, but he was there, like she said, he was there when we needed him and was just on point the whole time. Right.
So we'll tell you a little bit about what we had. We started it off with the Big Eye Tuna Tartar. So that is cornichon and capers, roasted jalapeno, and egg yolk sauce. So that's what they've got on their menu. It did come out with a side of really delicately hand-cut potato chips.
Yeah.
Which we
Waffle
thought
chips?
was really good.
Yeah.
It's something a little bit unique to be served with a tartar.
Right.
And it was nice, just a tiny hint of salt, that little like texture with the crunch of the chip.
Nice vehicle for the tartar.
It really was. It was this outstanding tartar, not heavily seasoned at all.
Yeah, you want the natural flavor of the tartar to stand out.
And the egg yolk sauce was, to me, I feel like that had a little bit of a Dijon or a mustard seed flavor to it. The tartar sat inside the sauce. I'm sure it was in the tartar as well, but it was sort of in a bed of the egg yolk sauce, which was delicious.
Yeah, it was a beautiful presentation. You know, not a huge portion, but certainly enough. I love the way they stacked it. Those chips were awesome. Just a beautiful way to start the meal.
Right.
Yeah.
So after that, we shared the English pea soup. I have to say this was the highlight of my meal. I thought everything that we had that evening was exceptional, but this is the one thing I can't stop thinking about. We, like I said, we shared it, and they were kind enough to share it, to split it for us without us even having to ask. It comes with king crab, lemon, and shiso. So it's like lump crab sort of inside the bowl that comes out empty, and then they pour the pea soup in tableside.
Yeah, that was cool.
And it's warm, but not hot.
Yeah, I agree that it was almost an afterthought of an order. Like I was putting together this whole plan for the meal, and we kind of just at spur of the moment, like, let's get the pea soup as well. And just thinking it might be a nice little interlude sort of dish, and ended up being incredible. I mean, that the freshness of that pea flavor. I'm like, does Wynn have a garden out here or something? Right? Like, where did those come from? It was so fresh. So incredibly delicious, and I have to say they were not cheap with the crab portion.
No, I was actually, considering that we split it, I was very impressed with how much we got.
Yeah.
I don't honestly think I would have needed a bigger bowl because we coursed it out, and so it was just the right amount.
Absolutely. That was such a nice surprise. We can't stop talking about it. Want to go back to like hang out at the bar and have some pea soup.
Exactly.
What's wrong with that?
A cocktail and some pea soup.
Yeah.
So I'll let you go with the next one.
Okay, so we also, for an appetizer, had a Maryland crab cake. This is served with pickled vegetables and a caper remoulade. So the caper remoulade was below the crab cake. As you can see in the photo, it's a nice chunky crab cake, pretty tall, great. I mean, the quality was obviously outstanding. Maryland crab from the East Coast. Very fresh flavor.
Just the one crab cake, but for us to share it was enough because it is so thick.
Yep.
It was nice.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was going to be two smaller ones or whatever, but I was fine with the one, we were sharing. It was still a good portion. Nice big chunks of crab in there. Loved that remoulade that they made with it. That's a classic pairing.
I was going to say, very classic take on it. I mean, they didn't mix anything up with this one.
Yeah, they're not reinventing this really, but they just did it really well.
Right, 100%.
Which was great. Okay.
So for entrees, I had the Big Glory Bay King salmon. This is with confit early girl tomatoes, crispy shallot, and an olive sauce. I'll say that the salmon itself was from New Zealand. I didn't actually know that at the time. It had been a couple years since I had enjoyed salmon, and it was not a disappointment. It had this nice blackened top, not blackened in the sense like a spice, but I don't know, it was like an herb rub or something on the top of it. It was fantastic. The confit tomatoes were so flavorful, like
bomb.
an umami in your mouth.
That's what I said.
So good.
I said when you gave me a bite, I was like, that's like an umami bomb.
It was. It just sort of like burst in your mouth. It was delicious.
Yes.
Very, very nice dish.
That crispy skin.
Crispy skin right on top, which was so good. And again, I don't know the ounces of the fish itself, but it was a very nice portion. I could not finish it all.
Yeah, you ended up having it to go.
It was, and I will say the next day it was just as good.
And talk about their to-go service too, real quick. That was impressive.
Oh my goodness, fancy pants to go. My bag came out with like a ribbon on top, and they gave all of the things that you would need, assuming that I was going to a room upstairs to enjoy it later. The Wynn does everything right. Everything is so classy and so nicely done. We notice those little extra touches.
Even the receipt paper when I was paying the bill, I was like, that's nice.
It's thick.
It's thick and got a nice gloss to it and stuff.
True.
Like, it's not, they don't cheap out on anything.
No, the paper towels in the bathroom were very nice and soft and thick. It's just funny. It's the little things like that that all add up to the nice experience.
Yeah, exactly. It all just paints a picture. So for my entree, I had my eye on this one when I was doing my research for literally like a month, and I was so hoping that they would have it in stock. Thank goodness they did. It was the dry-aged Big Eye Hawaiian tuna chop. This is a 14-ounce tuna chop. It's not always available. It even says on the menu subject to availability, so I had my fingers crossed, and luckily it worked out. So their description here is, our in-house dry aging program is an ode to the long history of dry aging fish by global cultures. This deepens the natural flavor while adding a rich buttery texture. It was fantastic. I'm familiar with dry aging when it comes to steaks, but I had never experienced anything like this with seafood before. It was beautiful because it came out with the bone still on the plate, but the tuna had been sliced off the bone, then sliced and fanned out on the plate, beautifully rare on the outside with all the flavor seared. I'm sorry, beautifully rare on the inside, all the flavor seared on the outside. I mean, this did not come home with me. I'll tell you that right now. I
almost licked the plate.
Single bite, and then I even got to that bone, and I was like, "What can I get off of here?" without like chewing on the bone. I mean, it was just fantastic. Easily some of the best tuna. I'd say easily the best tuna entree I have ever had in my life. If you like Hawaiian ahi tuna, and this is your thing, you've definitely got to check that out.
Right, and so we should mention that they do have a la carte sides. We just had one with our two dinners, and that was the king crab and corn. Delicious. It's like a sweet cream corn with yuzu and cotija cheese on top.
Yeah, that was nice.
It was nice, and again, they're not shy about the seafood that they add to it.
There's a lot of crab in there.
That was a nice treat.
I mean, they're not shy with the prices either, let's be honest. But, you're getting something, you're getting a lot for it.
This is a premium restaurant.
Absolutely. What do you expect?
Yeah. if you're familiar with the Wynn, this is exactly what you should expect from the Wynn.
Yeah, and it was a special occasion dinner. We wanted to do it up. We haven't been to a nice seafood meal in a long time, and we felt like we deserved it. You know?
Yeah, it was great. Normally we would be, of course, we're having dessert. I would never give that up, but we were so full that didn't happen. So
well, they did though. They hooked me up.
I'm so sorry. You're right.
They knew that it was a birthday reservation. And without us saying, we declined dessert because we truly were too full. I mean, it was a big meal.
Stuffed.
But they still ended up bringing out a nice little happy birthday, like a chocolate cake. And they wrote happy birthday in chocolate. You'll see a picture of that.
It's like a chocolate mousse on the inside, chocolate cake, and like a chocolate ganache on the outside.
Yeah, it was very tasty.
I had one tiny bite, but it was good, and it was a nice little surprise. The only reason they even knew we were celebrating is because they ask you when you make the reservation.
Right, when I made the reservation, it asked, is this a special occasion or anything like that?
Right, so we had kind of forgotten.
I forgot, it was a month ago. Yeah.
Right, and that was a nice little surprise.
It was great,
You don't always get that these days.
Sure. Now, we also had cocktails. Do you want to talk about those at all?
I can't remember
you had
what
that
cocktail
spritzer thing. It was like
I had a grapefruit golden hour. It was called the golden hour.
There you go.
It in this beautiful goblet. Grapefruit vodka, grapefruit seltzer. I think there was maybe an elderflower liqueur in there. It was delicious. It was refreshing. It was a little bit on the sweet side. But really nice flavor. Oh, and they had a little basil on top, which I'm a big fan of basil.
It was a beautiful summery drink to be out on the patio by the water. Like, it fit the setting perfectly.
Absolutely. It was a great cocktail.
Yeah, and I ended up having their old fashioned. Nothing too crazy about it. In fact, sometimes you'll see old fashions where they like muddle all the fruit inside there and it's all chunky and stuff. This was the opposite of that. It was just one big ice cube with there was nothing muddled in the glass. Maybe they did that ahead of time. I don't really know how they constructed it, but they just poured the drink over the one big ice cube, and the flavor profile was just outstanding. It was so well balanced. It didn't have a harsh bite to it in any way. It was so good I had two, frankly. I mean, why not? It was just an outstanding drink. So really enjoyed that. We can talk about. We'll get to the Lake of Dreams in just a second. I do want to mention the one kind of negative thing that we had. Again, this isn't the restaurant's fault at all, but I've got a pro tip for you that's going to help you out. And I actually learned something about this as well. So the only downside was us getting there, and it was the parking situation. We initially pulled into what we thought was self-park, turned out to be valet. They directed us when we asked for self-park around the corner. We pulled in there. There's like 4 levels of parking, and yet 30 minutes of circling, couldn't find a single spot.
It was maddening.
In fact,
insane. It would say there was a spot, and there wasn't
a spot. And there wasn't a spot. And I saw the level of cars in that self-parking are insane. I saw a Ferrari and a McLaren in self-park. Like, who parks a McLaren in self-park? I couldn't believe it. But after about 20 minutes of circling, I finally had to let Jessica out of the car to go and get our table because I was worried we might lose the reservation. We hate being late for anything. So it was kind of a bummer to not be able to walk in initially with her. She had to go in alone. I circled for 10 more minutes and finally gave up. I was leaving, and my plan was to just say, whatever, I'm just going to valet, but I was figuring I'd have to go take a right on the strip and go all the way back around to come around to the valet. As I left Wynn, and this is where the pro tip comes in, take a right on the strip, the very next property it's the Wynn's property. It's called Encore. It's their kind of more low-key but still really classy hotel. And I noticed that they had their own parking as well. It appeared to be an even larger parking garage. And I guess karma was on my side at that point because as soon as I pulled in, I got a spot right by the door, was able to park, run in, also free, which is fine, but just took such a long time. Had to walk all the way through Encore to get over the Wynn. It's all connected, so it's not like I went outside. Once I was in Encore, I was inside the whole time. I just would have preferred to be able to walk in with her. So the pro tip is to check Encore for parking. But one other thing to add to this, I was talking to my buddy this week, and what we've been hearing is that Wynn parking and also Venetian just across the street, their parking have just been getting absolutely slammed because of the new Sphere. So a lot of people are going to these parking garages, which are free, to get a nice view of the Sphere, especially at nighttime. Apparently, and I can't confirm this for sure, but what I've heard is that it's not going to be free for that much longer. If that is the case, and I do understand, I'm just hoping that they do it the way the MGM properties do, which is basically if you're a Nevada resident, you end up getting like 3 hours free. We always park at Bellagio when we're on that part of the strip because it's 3 hours free for Nevada residents. So If you're not finding a spot at Wynn, if it's still free at that point, check next door at Encore. You've definitely got an option there.
And if you do make it to the top level of the parking garage, you should check out the Sphere.
Yeah, if you can, sure. If that works out, yeah. So that's all.
Lake of Dreams.
Yeah, Lake of Dreams.
So
Wow.
it's this really intimate little man-made lake that looks, you can't really even quite tell, I don't think, at first that there's this big screen.
Yeah, it looks
there.
like a huge waterfall behind, but it's like a thin waterfall, and it's very wide, and you don't even notice at first that there's an entire LED screen behind it.
And the water itself has lights in the water.
Yeah.
And these big spheres inside the water that move throughout. The shows are, they're not really shows, so it's like a music video, if you were. Like they played a Marshmello song, and so there was a Marshmello video for the song, and it's lights and smoke and
The little heads were coming out,
yeah,
you know,
different
like his
things.
characters.
And then there was another, I think it was a Beatles song where Major Tom. Where there was an astronaut that actually came down. That was really cool.
That was like
an
the highlight.
actual astronaut.
Yeah,
I mean,
like a
not
woman.
a real person,
Yeah,
but
it looked like it.
It looked like it.
Came floating down from high, and you see it right up in front of you, and kind of pans across. It was so
And
cool.
we should say we were there for 2.5 hours.
Almost 3 hours. Yeah,
And
we
the-
made an evening of it.
The show itself, the Lake of Dreams, doesn't repeat, or at least it didn't while we were there.
Right.
So it comes on. We're pretty certain we're correct in that it comes on at the top and the bottom of every hour.
I think so.
And yeah, it's just like maybe a 3-4 minute little bit, and then you go back to your dinner.
Yeah.
But it's a fun little addition to what's already a fantastic restaurant.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they were showcasing one of their new shows that's playing there as well. They can do anything with that LED screen, and it's just so impressive. People were, as we mentioned before, coming outside during those times to check it out. So if you get a chance to check that out, it definitely adds a little something. The Bellagio has their version, which is like the fountain show and everything, and that's cool. This is a little bit, I don't know.
It's more
cool.
intimate because people can't crowd around from all angles to watch it. It's just you're either at the 3 little restaurants that sit on the lake, or you can see a bit of it when you're standing at the top of the escalators that you go down into the restaurants.
It's limited to the Wynn guests and people that are there to see it. And it's also just, that you have more options because it's an LED screen. So you can do anything you want to show rather than it just always being I love the fountain show, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But this just has more variety to it.
Yeah, no, true. It was fun. It's, certainly in Vegas, every place has got their own little thing. This was a cool addition.
Yeah, loved it. Yeah.
So, all in all, I mean, 10 out of 10 for me. We had a fantastic night, fantastic service, just everything all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, as far as restaurant meals go for us, and we've been to a lot of restaurants, I'd have to call this maybe like a top 10 restaurant experience.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'd say you're probably right. That everything, because it had everything.
And now we treated it like a fine, we made an experience of it. We noticed that there were some other people there that were kind of in and out. A lot of people spending the whole night on their phone the whole time. That's not how we want to spend our evening. It was an enjoyable evening, and we were able to course it out. They totally got what we were looking for. I told him right away, like, we want to course this out and take our time. And he was like, no problem.
But you don't have to.
Yeah,
I mean, you could just as easily go have your entrees and move about your night.
You could. Yeah, you can make it what you wish. It doesn't have to be as formal of a thing if you don't want it to. But if you want to make it that way, they will accommodate you. And that's how it was for us.
So I would recommend.
Yeah.
Have
absolutely.
the pea soup.
The pea soup. Yeah, that's a nice little pro tip. Check that out. So anyway, that's all we got, right?
That's it.
Okay, hope you enjoyed the review. Thanks for checking it out, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Remember to subscribe.
Please. Thank you.
Bye-bye.